Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Bet.UK, where we are looking ahead to the Guineas this weekend. We have the crowning of the king, but we will also be having the crowning of the new king and queen of the two respective Guineas. And I'll be looking ahead to all of the action at Newmarket, as well as a couple of races at Goodwood and Thirsk as well, in the company of Andrew Matt and Daryl Carter. And they had plenty of winners last week. We had Iberico Lord placing at 15-2, tipped up by Andrew. John Bond winning for Daryl. Hewitt picked up by both Daryl, Andrew, and me. I was trying to think. I was like, who's the third person?
Who's the other one?
I was like, who's the third person? Yeah, that's me right here. As Daryl and my naps as well. So we were delighted with that to sign off the jump season. Now we are back into the flat properly, and we begin at Newmarket, where we start with the 2:15. This is the listed Elena Challoner stakes for 3-year-olds and over 6 furlongs. A pretty open contest, all the same. 11 declared runners, Daryl. So who wins our opener?
Yeah, a tricky one. You can make cases for many in here. Azure Blue obviously got a good course record at the top of the market. Has been beaten though on both seasonal reappearances. I did make a note that the sort of the Dodds horses are needing the run, and I don't know why I did that, because I backed 3 of them after making that note, and they all got beat. So yeah, Galforce Mayor obviously loves this course. Good record, fresh as well towards the top of the market. Heredia does interest me for Richard Hannon, dropping back to this 6 furlongs. I'm just always a little bit weary when they do that on seasonal return. The reason is because I'm not sure they're doing it for the benefit of, we think she now wants 6 furlongs. I think they're doing it for the benefit of perhaps she'll get 6 furlongs on seasonal return and may need the run. So yeah, I'm getting them tied in knots a little bit here. This is quite an interesting race for 3-year-olds. Now, this race, I think, was run at Newmarket up until 2020, Nottingham up until 2022 last year when Colfin won. But 3-year-olds have got a really good record, right? Those priced sort of under 8-1. They've had 15 of them and 5 winners, sort of 33% strike rate, if you do your maths. I think that's right. But outside that, you've had a 33-1 winner and a 50-1 second as well. So I kind of wanted to go for the 3-year-old angle. I very much respect Pedrico, who ran really well over 5 furlongs last time, beaten by Happy Romance. But the other George Bowie horse I was interested in, I'm hoping that she goes off shorter than 8-1, is Queen Olly, who gets a first-time tongue tie. I thought this horse ran pretty well on seasonal return behind Mama's Girl, who's obviously a fancied runner for the 1,000 guineas tomorrow. Was well beaten there over 7, but I think 6 is definitely her trip. She's got some decent form from last season, only beaten a couple of lengths over 6 furlongs on the July course by Morge and Lezoux. That's pretty strong form in the context of this race, in my opinion. And I thought she would go well here in stall 10. I do like high-drawn runners at Newmarket, and I'll make that apparent later on. But yeah, Queen Olly for a tentative selection in the opener.
I'll be joining you with the high draws then later on as well. But Queen Olly, tentative selection, then 12-1 though. So we will happily take that first-time tongue tie for George Bowie's filly for Daryl. Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, I was looking at the 3-year-old angle as well. Say Uncle Thumb broke a run of 5 wins in a row for the Classic Generation when taking this last year, but they do win a disproportionately high number of this race, given the Wakeful age allowance.
And that was floaters last year, wasn't it? That was odds on the 3-year-old.
Yeah, 65 on, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, because I took the was it Tenaya Canyon that ran?
Yeah, that's it.
2012-1. Yeah, Queen Olly was on my radar. I didn't get much cover, I thought, and raced keenly in the early stages here last time, and down in trip, down in class, like tongue tie, if that has a positive effect. I thought George Bowie's filly would go well. So I would, but I keep coming back to Azure Blue. I love her. I think she's fantastic. She was so progressive last year. Marked her down as a future group winner, and I think she can probably take this listed race, on the way to better things now, because prior to today's racing, Michael Dodds was 1 winner from 35 in the past fortnight, but he's had a first-time outer win from a poor draw at Redcar earlier on today in the 150. This is Thursday we're recording this, so maybe the yard's about to turn the corner. He's got Gale Force Mayor in this as well. She's got a love affair with this track and stiff tracks in general, so I'll go Azure Blue over the 3-year-old pair, Queen Olly and Perdika.
Okay, so then over the 3-year-old pair, but a note of confidence then for Daryl's selection with Queen Olly, but your main play though will be Azure Blue for Michael Dodds at 9-2, then currently joint favourites at the head of the market with Gale Force Maya. Now moving on to our next race at Newmarket. This is the Howden Handicap. Howden seems to be sponsoring everything at the minute, but a heritage handicap for 4-year-olds and over 6 furlongs at 250. This really is wide open, 8-1 the field. Andrew, right up your street.
Tricky old one. This I can imagine Strike Red for Richard Fahey running well here. This is one that I put up in this race last year, and it turned out that I thought he had a high draw. I got the draw completely wrong last year. Like you, I was going with high numbers, and it turned out that he had pretty much the worst of the draw. He blew the start as he can do, but by even more than usual. He was a 10-1 shot. He finished 13th. You look at, you said the winner was stall 4 that day, and so I kind of gave up on him after betting him the next sort of couple of starts, and then of course later in the season he won, Wolverhampton and York in a big handicap. So he's not had a run this time around. He did have a run going into this last year. He ran pretty well. In fact, he ran here at the Craven meeting, finishing 6, a length and a half behind Gale Force Mare. So yeah, he's nagging at the background. Strike Red. The others I was looking at were where's it gone? Probe, of course, who won that fast time race at Wolverhampton before running second here, although because stall 22, so again you're hoping to get a few draw clues prior to this race to see where you want to be. Admiral D in the first time cheap piece is another Fahey runner. That's a positive statistical angle for Richard Fahey. First time cheap piece, particularly those that had a run within the last 4 weeks. Our old friend Silver Samurai, one of Daryl and I know a lot about. He's had a warm up on the all weather, and I'm just a bit worried that he might be better on flatter tracks though. And I'm gonna go Strike Red from stall 7, but it's one of those races where you can have 6 picks and not get one in the play spot. It's a minefield.
Yeah, it is an absolute minefield, isn't it? But as you say, there can be plenty of draw pointers then for later on. But if you had to take a play, then Strike Red would be the main play. Would we go under 18-1?
Yeah, I'll go Strike Red.
Yeah, Strike Red then for the main play. But as you've just said there, you can make a case for a whole host of these. But Daryl, have you nailed down just one?
No, not really. He's bang on. He's bang on in terms of the race. You can make case for loads of them. Admiral D would be the main play for me. I thought he was a big eye catcher behind Osario here 17 days ago. He sort of had to switch around runners, whereas Osario went straight through. He had to come wide and stay on strongly. Now, the issue with him is that is a bit typical of him. He does tend to sort of, I don't know, sort of find a little bit of trouble and then run on strongly. And I just wonder if the cheek pieces could just bring him, just force him to go forward that little bit earlier, because he's kind of one of these that likes chasing tails of horses. There's another one in here exactly like that as well, and that's Spirit of Light. And again, that one gets cheek pieces for the first time. There's definitely more to come from this horse. I think dropping back to 6 furlongs as well was a big positive. The cheek pieces, I think, is what could be key to Spirit of Light going well. So those were the 2 I was sort of focusing on. I did just want to give a mention to mine and Andrew's favourite in here, Equiano Springs, who's 40-odd to 1. Adam Farrow claims 3 off. He's had his seasonal reappearance last time, and in that same race I mentioned about where Orzio won, who I think could go on to good things later on this season. But Equiano Springs just ridden so forcefully at the front, was very, very keen. It just looked like he needed to knock the stuffing out of him. He has got a lot of formulas that time in that says he should be respected in races like this. I would just be hopeful that they hold him up and sort of give him every chance. I think he loves coming past horses. He's a big price at Equiano Springs, but I might throw a couple of quid at him. Admiral D and Spirit of Light.
Okay, then so the first time head give for those 2 latter horses you've mentioned for Equiano Springs. Yeah, you can't go without backing him, can you? And he's 40-1 with you 2 on here. And yeah, he is a 9-year-old now, but that is a big price for the former course and distance winner. Now we switch over to Goodwood, where we have a 0 to 100 handicap for 4-year-olds and over a mile 2 at 305. It's another competitive handicap, 6-1 the field this time. So Daryl, who are you siding with?
Yeah, I like Honington in this for John and Thady Gosden, off 322 days, but My God, they've got a 32% stroke rate of horses return off 300 days or more. 16 winners from their last 50 runners. I just think this is very unexposed, this horse, and he went very well fresh at Newbury on his second start, behind My Prospero, beat him just 3 lengths. Obviously, My Prospero is a very, very smart horse, a Group 1 horse. Then went to Chester and chased home Secret State. But I didn't think Chester suited, but I did think the soft ground suited. And there's a good bit of range at Goodwood on Saturday. Goodwood's just down the road from me. His next start at Newcastle on New Weather, he chased home Eldorado Allen and Post Impressionist. Post Impressionist was a very well handicapped horse throughout the last season and finally got the job done towards the end. Obviously, we know what Eldorado, well, am I saying Eldorado? I'm thinking of Eldorado Allen, isn't I?
That's right. I was waiting for you to say it, and I couldn't wait for him to say
Yeah, and then he took advantage of a good opportunity to win his maiden at Sandown, bolting up by 9 lengths. Like Postwick, who was in second that day, is rated like 84. So a mark of 93 shouldn't be beyond him. He was a disappointment in the Golden Gates handicap, but forgive that. He's been off since, and he should go well fresh, and he should like any rain that comes. So I think he's a good bet actually, 8-1.
Oh, 8-1 then. Yeah, like I say, there are some decent prices around. So Daryl makes a good case there. Andrew, who are you siding with?
Yeah, really tricky because of the going. I mean, you'd hope Goodwood aren't going to water, although given the fashion for putting as much water as humanly possible on our tracks at the moment, it wouldn't surprise me. I just looked at, I've got about 5 mil max of the 2 forecasts I look at between now and post time. So that's, a couple of days and, drying, drying wind. I'm not sure it's going to be that bad. So again, we're sort of like guessing as to where you want to be on the track. Is it going to be soft enough for them to come over the sort of centre to near side? Is it going to be, another kind of like quagmire that will suit bad company? You won it Epsom the other day, possibly flattered by taking the wide route coming up that near side rail. I'm probably going to go against him, although I was with him last time. The one I like is Youthful King for Luke Dace. Now, he's by the side Fountain of Youth. They've got a much better strike rate on turf than they have on the all-weather. And he really took me by surprise when winning at Lingfield on his 3rd career start, 16-1. So annoying because I'd stuck him in my tracker after his 200-1/5 at Sandown the time before. And then I've sort of been with him, when he's been on turf. It's taken a sort of a while for him to sort of get off the mark on turf. Won twice last summer, both times I was on good to firm. But again, it's a case of what the ground does for him. But I'll side with Youthful King. It's really hard. I'd rather wait till a little bit nearer the time. Find out how Goodwood's riding on Friday. Find out how much rain they get, and play it from there.
Yeah, and just go from there. Youthful King currently 25-1. Now I have just got up the going reports then for Saturday. So Goodwood currently, this was last updated this morning at 9:30. Good stuff. Going 6.2 at 9:30, and then it says, well, 4.2 millimeters of rain Monday, looking dry, overcast and breezy with the outside chance of shower today. On Thursday, showers overnight into Friday morning. Friday afternoon looks dry, light rain on and off on Saturday. At this stage, it says nothing about watering or plans to watering, but then we move down to Newmarket. Good fun, good in places, going 7.7. 3 o'clock yesterday on Wednesday, and then they're predicting rain 5.5 on Friday, dry Saturday and Sunday, 1 mil of rain on Monday. Oh, this is going back again, but they have said watering, selective irrigation undertaken on Thursday morning, 4 millimeters applied to the final 8 furlongs. So watering
would be helpful if they could take going stick readings across the track in different places, so we punters have got some clue about the draw. I know you can often get those on the day. Tracks like York are particularly good at that, ahead of their big meetings. But I don't understand why, now we haven't got, individual going stick readings for different parts of the track to give jockeys and punters some clue as to where you actually want to be.
Especially at Newmarket, because that would really help out rather than using a few races as kind of guinea pigs, basically.
Yeah, and usually the race you want to bet in is the first one, and so
I know.
You can't have any clues before it.
You're on the complete wrong side then. Yeah, but that's what we're getting at the minute. So watering at Newmarket, 4 millimeters in place on good firm ground at present. But I mean the weather has changed from the forecast that they were originally predicting anyway. But we're back to Newmarket. Who knows what it's going to ride like? And this is the Suffolk Stakes. This is a heritage handicap for 3-year-olds and over a mile one at 3.25. And the betting heats just keep coming at us. Andrew, 6-1 the field again here. So who are you siding with?
I'll I've got to do. I've gone round and round in circles with this race, so I'm going for Turntable. But no, I love Turntable. Chris Wall trained previously, because now he's retired. This is a real course expert. He's won on the July course, but he seems much happier on the Rolling Mile. He's had 5 runs over a mile to 9 furlongs in this track without headgear, 4 wins and a half length second when a 12-to-1 shot. He's gone to Harry Eustace. We've had 3 winners, I think, from 8 or 9 runners from these ex-Chris Wall horses at the first time of asking. He was a trainer who had a bit of a reputation for kind of like perhaps not having them ready first time out, or maybe so Harry Eustace trained one of those ex-Chris Wall horses to win on his seasonal debut. So the fact that they're coming here, the fact that he loves the track. I mean, he was 14-to-1 like earlier, before the final decks were out. I thought, shouldn't I? I thought, well, we don't know the draw. So I've got to go for Turntable. I just realised my we've got the draw. Yeah, still 14. So again, we'll get some clues before the race is off. The others of interest, Empire State of Mind. I stuck him up as an each way bet here last time. He was 8-to-1 into 7-2 after that good 7th in the Lincoln, when he did, I think, 3rd best of those who were ridden prominently in a race run to suit the closers. Jimi Hendrix I was with last time, but I think that his chance is covered in the price. So I think I'll end up having a good bet on Turntable and saving on Empire State of Mind.
10-to-1 about Turntable for the main play, 8-to-1 then about Empire State of Mind, and abandoning your winner from last time out, Jimi Hendrix, who's priced accordingly at 11-2 for Andrew. Daryl, who did you side on?
I agree with everything that Andrew just said about those couple. I went through this race. It kind of was going up and down. I came down on Saga for John and Daly Gosling, Frankie Dettori. I won't make a habit of backing Frankie Dettori. Anyone that follows me knows I'm not a massive fan, really, of his riding style. But the cheek pieces go on for the first time. That's what interests me, because they stuck blinkers on him when he went ahead second in the Britannia last year. And he went very well fresh at Kempton. He bumped into Mal Doom this time last year. He's a bit in and out, but I'm hoping that the switch of the headgear is the time to catch him. He's run well on the July course, but beaten only 1.25 lengths by the ill-fated Caribus. So the undulations have been no issue. Interesting that Frankie's on. Frankie's been on 3 times. He's finished second in the Britannia, second to Mal Doom, and he won at Ascot over 7 furlongs beating Koi Koi. So I think he should be fit and ready to go. His form in defeat is not that bad either in the context of this race. So I'm hoping that a good draw on 11. We'll see him go well. And just a quick mention for the outside of the entire field, the City's Phantom. I've loved this horse for ages. Always back him when he runs at Yarmouth. But he's never been beaten on a seasonal return, or never been beaten after 100 days or more. The issue is the trainer's only won for 72 at Newmarket, but the City's Phantom does have no few pieces of form that suggests that 66-to-1 is probably taking the piss a little bit. So keep an eye on him, but Saga will be the main play.
Potty Mel.
So delicately put as well. So the City's Phantom to do the whole Chindits then that we saw yesterday, 66-to-1 on his reappearance, to hopefully go very close as the outsider of the field. But your main play though, Saga, for all of the stars to align. But it's a tricky customer, first time gelding operation, first time cheap pieces, good draw, and as you say, everything else then to boot for him. Now the trickiest named race of the season is up now. It's the Thirsk Hunt Cup, I fear, every single year when saying this race's name, but it is still a 0-105 handicap, 4-year-old Sonova over a mile at 340. Again, a pretty open contest. Also, Festival did open up as the 9-2 market leader. It's now 14-to-1, so it's now 8 on the field. God knows what was going on earlier, but Daryl, who are you siding with?
I haven't seen the prices yet, Kate. Could you come back to me?
Yeah, no bother. Yeah. I've got Northern Express now, joint favourites with Pisanello here, 8-to-1 for the pair of those two. Symbolise then, Andrew. So
I've previewed this race, and I've written the word anti-post gamble autumn festival because I saw like 9-2 from 16, but clearly there was a bit of a sort of something going on the Racing Post website, and the wrong prices were against the horses, because the one I ended up tipping was Billy B, because I saw 25-to-1. I thought, well, that's too big, but he's 10-to-1. Yeah, first thing we mentioned, the draw is often a good way of narrowing this race down. Stalls 1 and 2 tend to struggle in big field handicaps at Thirsk over a mile, also 7 furlongs. I think since 2010, we've had 136 runners in fields of 14 or more who were drawn 1 or 2, only 2 winners from 136. The expected winners will be over 4 times that many. That's a bit of a shame because that kind of rules out Northern Express in stall 2, who caught the eye, as he often does in his debut, finishing 5th at Musselburgh against the pace buyers, where his hold-up style was no help. Autumn Festival will probably take him along from stall 3. You've got Dark Moon Rising, stall 4, and the first-time cheek pieces, who can also put pace to the race. The other ones I look at, Carnival Zane for Mickey Hammond. He's unbeaten in 2 starts here, 7 furlongs and this mile trip. I thought this looks to be the plan for him. He's 20 to 1. That's fair enough. Tuscan was also interesting. He was well beaten on his debut for David O'Mara at Haydock, but that was 7 furlongs. The front runners never came back, and he's got course form. I think it was when he was trained by Charles Hills. I think he was a win and a narrow second from 2 runs here. So I thought it was interesting they're coming back here. Pisanello, he's finished in the first 4 and 12 of his last 13 starts. If you can find a bookmaker who'll take a bet on finishing exactly 3rd, then he's probably nap material. And then the Tim Easterby horse is a bit like Michael Dodds. They're starting to do a bit better now that a lot of them have had a run. Cruyff Turn was 7th in this last year. He's only beaten 2 lengths, but given that his last 2 wins have come at York, I thought maybe it's going to be a case of this will sort of put him spot on for the Dante meeting for a return to York. Austrian Theory is half interesting. For Charlie Johnson. The Johnson Yard doesn't target this race. Only had 2 runners in recent years. The Turpinator, he ran well at Newcastle last time for Grant Stewart, and he went incredibly well fresh when with Tom Clover. And I think the fact that after that good debut effort on the all-weather back in early December, the fact they haven't run him for 165 days seems significant because they want to keep him fresh for this. But I'll come down the side of Billy B, still 14 of 15. So last year's winner, Radana, 66 to 1. She was drawing 15 of 15. Now, Billy B won well in a Class 2 mile handicap at Southall last time. And what's interesting about this one is that he seems best when he's got plenty of daylight on the outside of the field. When you look at his wins, it always seems to be, quickened up on the outside, switched to the outside. And I thought from 14 of 15, he's going to get daylight. Strong pace, daylight down the outside, come down the middle of the track like a lot of winners of this race do. So I'll go Billy B. Just a shame because an hour ago I thought he was 25 to 1.
Yeah, the market, it's quickly rectified itself, but it was a bit odd when it first opened up anyway. And yeah, Billy B is now 10 to 1 from that bigger price earlier on. I've also gone for the high draw angle as well. And I'm pleased that you gave a nod of confidence then to Austrian Theory here in stall 13, because this lad, I know he takes a bit of explaining on his most recent outings, but he's now returning to his last winning mark. And last time out, it was the first shot after a gelding operation. He just looked like he needed it, where I know we don't necessarily suggest Charlie Johnston's horses to be needing their runs anyway, but it was a small runner affair at Kempton. It's quite a competitive contest all the same, and he just shaped as though he needed it. So £2 back for that last winning mark, and he's got that high draw that he can hopefully put to good use. 16 to 1 for me. Daryl, we bought you enough time to look at the prices.
Yeah, the draws hadn't come up either, so I refreshed the racing post, and I was literally about to say about a safe voyage because I'm sure this will do a victory. And then Andrew's just mentioned about stall 1 and stall 2, and I knew there was some sort of stall disadvantage in this race, like big stat, and I couldn't remember what it was, but I didn't see the draws before this, and I didn't see the prices. I'm very surprised Tuscan's as big as 18 to 1. I think that's really big. But I've seen like 16s about safe voyage and then 7s or 8. So can I skip this race for now?
Yep. Oh, for sure, definitely. The fact that
forever, not just for now.
I'll get stuck in. I'll do a bit more work on it, but it needs a bit more work now.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go back to O'Mara. So I was originally going to tip Tuscan in the race, and then I saw he's had 20 runners in this race. I think I went back 11 years, 0 from 20. Although 5 did place, and Tim Easterby as well, 0 from 16 in this race. So neither have done particularly well, and the O'Mara horses often go off quite short for this.
So against Tuscan then on that basis. But yeah, that was probably a nasty surprise for you then to only just be getting the draws up there. Now, Daryl, we will let you off for sure with that race. And I'm not saying the title of again because I will make an ass of it at some point. Right, back to Newmarket now for the Group 3 Palace House Stakes with 3-year-olds and over 5 furlongs at 4 o'clock. 17 runners here, Andrew. 4-1 field, joint favourites at the head of the market with Manakan and Twilight Calls heading the way. So these races, they're serving us up plenty of betting heats, aren't they, really? But how are you playing this one?
Yeah, with trepidation because of the size of the field and the draw. I mean, last year, I went into this meeting thinking you want to be drawn high. And of course, Cardem raced virtually alone on this far side from Store 1 and Julie won from one of the two I tipped in the race, Existent at a big price. Existent is back for more, but my God, you look at Stuart Williams's turf run since racing resumed after lockdown in June 2020. Absolutely shocking. They're really, really struggling. I know he's had a win or two on the all-weather recently. I think our colleague or former colleague Tom Morley actually turned up to see one of his horses run for the second time in about 10 years, and that
was a sign in itself.
Exactly, yeah. It's kind of information you wish you'd had prior to the race. So you got Twilight Calls, who's won for a time out last season and ran well in this race last year. Ryan Moore booked. Henry Candy's yard going okay, but 130 on the far side. You don't know whether that's going to be any good or not. Manican was progressive, at the end of last year, but again, I thought his chance was covered in the price. The one I was very interested in was Living the Dream. Probably underrated in the market, being he's trained by Adam West. And he just keeps coming. He's got an incredible record in the spring. Now, since he was gelded, he went to 6 furlongs at Lingfield on the all-weather, needed that run, first run for several months, and then his spring record after that, 4th, first. So he won his last 4 starts at this time of year. He's 12-1 according to this. It could be 6-4 given the gremlins on the website I'm looking at. But yeah, coming out of still 16. I thought we had a squeak. Equilateral, who represents Charles Hills and Fitchery Hay, last year's winning connections. I thought he could go well at a price. He's around about 20-1. But again, it's like they're going to race in 2 groups, 3 groups, 4.5 groups, race all over the track. Which side do you want to be on? It's it's potential carnage race. I'll go Live in the Dream because I think, regardless of not knowing about the draw, I still think he's overpriced.
Yeah, I say damn it with pure delight because I'm also with Live in the Dream. So I was saying damn it because I thought I was going for, I say an original selection. He's 3rd in the betting, but he's 12-1 here. But I'm delighted that you agree though about him. It is an absolute minefield of a race as well. And he, again, is the age that I wanted for this race, a 4-year-old drawn high, where, as you just say, Andrew, for all that the winner of this race last year raced alone on the far side from stall 1 in Carden. But generally, I still want to be sticking with the general consensus of a horse being drawn higher here. Official rating to be featuring of 104. He'd likely to go forwards to probably try and make all, but I thought he was either going to go back to Chester to the May meeting, or he was going to go to Pontefract or return to Pontefract then for a 0-105 handicap. So I'm actually glad he's turning up here, really, such as the way that he hit the line last time out at Pontefract very strongly. So I think that he's up to the task with conditions to suit. So we're both with Living the Dream. Daryl, who are you siding with?
Twilight Calls.
Oh,
yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure why he's not a 6-4 favourite, unless he is, and we can't see the prices. But I thought he was an excellent second to Nature Strip in a King's Stand when we last saw him. I thought he did so much running to get to try and close down the eventual winner. I thought it was a career best performance. I always take notice when Henry Candy books Ryan Moore. They got a 29% strike rate. So it's very interesting they booked him up first time here. Obviously, he was in the King's Stand as well. He loves the course. He goes very well at this track. Goes very well fresh. By far the best form in the race, in my opinion. I don't know why he's not a clear favourite, and he's in receipt of a few pounds from Manican, who is joint favourite from him. So I think he's ticks all the boxes.
Do you think he's won as many races as he should have done? No, he's never won above Class 3 level. That really surprises me, given all those sort of good efforts in Group Company.
Yeah, perhaps, but I do think he's a little bit vulnerable to how the race pans out. So, and for me, like a second in the King's Stand is as good as winning above Class 3. So, I think he ticks a lot of boxes.
Cool, and he has actually shortened up. I say that they opened up the two at the head of the market 4-1, and between Twilight Calls and Manican. Manican is now 92, and Twilight Calls 130 is now leading the way. They're at the head of the market, so you could well get shorter nearing the off. But it is a tricky race to assess all the same. And now our final race is the big one. It is the Group 1 2,000 guineas for 3-year-old colts over a mile at 4:40 at Newmarket. Fair play to Aidan O'Brien for running his 2 stars, because they are leading the way at the head of the market. August Rodan is currently the 13-8 market leader from Little Big Bear at 11-2. Chaldine, hoping to get a few yards further than last time out, is then in next at 13-2. And then the talking horse, Royal Scotsman, is 8-1, and well, 8-1 bar really with Sakir and the remainder. But Daryl, who do you think wins?
It's very, very tricky. I want to be against Augustus Rodin, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't personally see what everybody else sees in him, but I have got this wrong a few times with Aidan O'Brien horses. But I thought at Doncaster last time, winning the Vertum Futurity, I thought he was on the right side of the track. I thought his stablemate set the pace up lovely in that sort of free runner group they had on the stand side. Thought that was a place you needed to be. It tends to be the place you need to be at Doncaster. And Holloway Boy did remarkably well from the other side of the track, and then hung violently to the right, literally almost adjacent to as he was running straight across the track. And he's only beaten a few lengths, and I thought it looked hard work for Augustus Rodin. I didn't think that was the strongest piece of form in the race. The second probably hated the ground there, went on and clung on at Epsom next time. I just personally don't see it. I don't see why everyone thinks that this horse is going to win a Triple Crown, but I could be completely wrong. There's a stat going around, or there's a few stats going around, as there always is a weekend like this, that no winner since 1999 has run over sort of 6 furlongs or whatever. They had all run over 7 furlongs to go on to win this race. But I think if you look down past last few years, I think if you look at the type of horses that have been running in this, stepping up from 6 furlongs, like Perfect Power, for example, who was stepping. I know he ran over 6 furlongs, but was like, he was never going to stay the trip, was he? I mean, me and you saw that from a mile off. You look at a couple of other horses that were never, like 10 Sovereigns, for example, was never really going to stay the trip. He was buying Exceed and Excel mare. You know, I know he was No Never as well, but there's lots of horses by No Never that have stepped up in trip and improved for a mile. Alcohol Free being one of them. Wichita, who was second in the Guineas, being one of them. And I think using just that stat to write off Little Big Bear, which I think a lot of people are doing, I think it's dangerous, because I think he's a very, very good horse, and he has won over 6.5 furlongs. So it's not.
Didn't he have a setback, which is why we didn't see him in the autumn? You know? So assume it would have been like races like the Dewhurst and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He would have run over that 7 furlongs, you know, had he been given, you know, had he not had that injury.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think writing him off on that stat, I've seen a lot of people on the Twitter sphere do it. The same with Sakir, who I think is bred to be better over a mile as well. So, I'm sort of leaning towards the two of them. I couldn't really have Chaldine. If you didn't need the run, why would you go to Newbury last week? I know they're playing it off like, it doesn't matter that he unseated. He just needed the day out. I don't buy that. I think they needed the run. He needs a run. So I think that's a slight negative for him coming here. Royal Scotsman's interesting. Andrew's a big fan of this horse. Elfgrown's quite like him, but I just don't know if he's classy enough to win a Guineas. And I was sort of looking for more like 16s rather than 8s. I'm not entirely convinced Noble Style loves Newmarket. Obviously, the report's been working poorly. Coming into this is not ideal. Silver Knot, I think, is just the choice of William Buick because of that base of Noble Style. I think Indestructible running a nice race. I do think he's an improving horse for Carl Burke. Kevin Stark, they're having a fantastic season. I think they'll go pretty close. But I'm just going to take a chance and go against the stats and just side with Little Big Bear and Sakir. I'm going to back them both. They're both drawn where I'd like them to be drawn. I just hope they're not. I hope they're ridden to run their race and not held up to get the trip. I hate it when they do that with horses. Because if you're going to get the trip, you're going to get it regardless of if you're being held up. And if you're not going to get it, you're not going to get it. Do you get what I mean? So just ride their normal races. And I'm hoping Wayne Lordan would do that. And I'm hoping he's not going to sort of be a sacrificial lamb drawn right next to Augustus Rodin. And Sakir is up there as well with the pace. I think he'd go close. So there'd be my two.
Yeah, and it is that thing. I've said this like all along. We're talking to a guy who's sort of a pace analysis and stride analysis and with the stride cadences and such like, and he just has always said the point where he says, like, I don't believe about horses being ridden to get the trip. They're either going to get it or they're not. And actually, it's going to be more taxing for them to have to make up ground from off the pace than if they just dictated their own tempo, ideally on the front end, but just tracking it. And if they get it, they get it. But yeah, so I really hope that's not the case as well, because I am also with Little Big Bear here.
And we want to see the best of him as well, don't we? We don't want to see him like getting stuck in behind and all of a sudden all this rubbish. Like, he's literally rated the best horse in the race. So I know it's over a trip shorter, but I just hope they're going, like you say.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will, because he's given himself every opportunity to, because he's got the best form in the book for me in this race anyway. And we tend to think of the 2,000 guineas for quicker horses now anyway, rather than the 1,000 guineas. You're sort of looking for your Oaks pointers and horses that are going to be getting further down the line anyway, rather than the 2,000 guineas is for those that are that bit sharper anyway, potentially not really sort of your Derby, St. Ledger then types. So this is going to be the trickiest task, and for August Rodin on that basis. So Little Big Bear, he certainly got the pace, and yes, like you say, it's kind of 1.5/2 furlongs that he's previously faced before. But even though he's by No Nay Never, he's out of Bering Dam. Bering, obviously, he was finished second then in the Arc, and the Dam won over 10 furlongs and was a granddaughter of an Arc winner herself. So, and he doesn't look like just a 2-year-old sprinter anyway. The only concern
his best sort of part of his race has been at the finish over 6 furlongs as well, which is, I just think it's a huge positive. I just, like you say, it's a mile and 2 further. The way Ryan couldn't pull him up at the Curragh over that 6.5, I thought, I don't think you got anything to worry about trip wise.
No, I'm not one bit concerned anyway. And yeah, like I say, the only concern is, as Andrew said, the injury he's sustained there. Hopefully he just comes back in the same order. But we're siding with the seemingly speedster. Andrew, who are you siding with?
Yeah, not the favourite. Price grounds very different going to when he was a winner in the Vertical Futurity at Doncaster last time. Not Chaldine because of that unseated. I don't back horses at the Cheltenham Festival who unseated last time out, so I'm not backing them in the 2,000 guineas either.
Translate that theory.
Yeah, I'm still gutted by Royal Scotsman not holding on in the in the Duert, having tipped him up at 25, seen him go off at 12 to get beaten ahead by Chaldine. The reason that day was he looked the pace angle, he was drawn towards that near side rail, which was the place to be at the time, and he somehow managed to sort of come off the rail and let Chaldine up his inner. It's possible both were flattered by that. We've seen Isaac Shelby come out of that race. He was drawn 1 that day and blew the start, and then sort of won the Greenham first time out. Royal Scotsman, like Daryl says, 8-1 about a Paul and Oliver Cole horse in a classic. It's probably on the skinny side. Charlie Appleby's turf runners haven't been doing fantastically this season so far. That's something a friend of mine pointed out this morning, and you'd like to see 1 or 2 of those run a little bit better on Friday before getting involved with Silver Knot or Noble Style. Little Big Bear, absolutely, nothing wrong with him at all. And assuming it was only a minor setback and he's over that, so he looks fair, around about 11-2. Holloway Boy, who was a little bit wayward in the first time visor, went third to Augustus Rodin at Doncaster. I thought the headgear might be left off. I was kind of hoping it was, but they've got the visor on again. But yeah, Christoph Simeon booked 25-1. Why not? And the other, one of the other Carl Burke runners, Royal Plan, who's 66-1 in a place, generally 50s. He's drawn store 1, so we don't know if that's any good or not. But I was quite taken with his Newcastle defeat last time out. Finished second, but he hit the front way too far out. Anything more than 50 yards is too far out at Newcastle. But he got into a bit of a battle with the 4th that day. They really got races from a long way out. The 4th, Ben Acre. Ben Acre runs tomorrow at Newmarket, so a good run from him would give a pointer to the chance of Flight Plan. And High Royal. You've got a horse here who's 150-1, trained by Kevin Ryan. Oisin Murphy's books. And first time up, he ran at York in the Convivial Maiden, and I think I was listening to Williamville Radio. It was Ken Pitterson was sort of like talking about. It might have been sort of saying that he looked look the part and will be one for the future. He's finished third at 50-1, beaten half a length. The winner made all. The runner-up was prominent, and after blowing the start, he's done best of those to come from off the pace. He's then gone up to a mile at air on good ground and bolted up, very well backed. And then last time out, they're cutting back to 7 furlongs on soft ground here for the conditions race, won by Majestic Pride. Again, you needed to be on the front end that day. He's been ridden patiently. So back at a mile, hopefully on quicker ground. Ocean Murphy booked 150-1. If that stall falls, no problem. Then, it wouldn't be the first time Kevin Ryan's had one go well at a big price in a classic. So yeah, I'll go put myself into putting up High Royal as my each way pick.
You're talking us all around there. 150-1 outsider of the field. High Royal for Kevin Ryan then tipped up. I was wondering where that was going to go through the whole thing. Did not expect it to have that conclusion. So fair play to you, Mr. Mount. And I'll go back to you, Andrew, for anything from anywhere else.
Eeny, meeny, miny, no.
Eeny, meeny, miny, no. Right, got you. Daryl.
No, they're going to have to start giving us another hour if they want anything from anywhere else with the amount of meetings that go on.
Yeah, when I saw the number of decks at Newmarket, I thought, the final decks haven't come through. It's still the 5-day one. No, everything's got 22 runners in it.
I know. Who are we to complain, though, about having these sides of fields and these competitive contests? We've been crying out for these during the entirety of the jump season. Now we've got it and we're like, oh, God, there's a lot of horses here. Right then, Daryl, your nap, please.
I think I'm going to have to go Twilight Calls at Newmarket in the 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully you can remember this time because I can't remember it. Yeah, 130. He still is, as we talk now, 4 o'clock at Newmarket for Twilight Calls for Daryl. Andrew.
Red warning flag, another crap gag coming. Turntable to improve his record on the roll. Good record on the rolling ball. There you go.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for that. At least you gave us the heads up anyway, and you teed it up nicely for us, so we had time to prepare. Appreciate that a lot, as ever. And I'm going to go Little Big Bear in the 440 at Newmarket in the 2,000 guineas. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. An awful lot to cram into this week's show, but a big thank you to Daryl and to Andrew for all of their hard work as per usual. A big thank you to you for watching. Thank you to our sponsors at Bet UK, and we'll catch up with you again next week.